Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I am back to work on my Colour Inspirations Journal, which is a fabulous project being hosted by the equally fabulous Annie Claxton from Arty Farty Annie here on YouTube. She also has a Discord community and a Facebook community as well. I'll link her in the description to this video so you can go and check her out. She's just been celebrating another milestone with her subscribers, and a huge congratulations. I wish Annie every single success and happiness in her creative endeavours, and all endeavours in fact. So in front of us we've got, and we'll come back to this a bit later on, the fibres, because that will be our next step in my stitching, so threads and fibres and lots of yumminess. I'll also come back to a little experiment I did using some paper towel that got dyed with the Inktense that I was using on my Calico, and which I've stitched into. So I'll put this out of the way, but we will come back to it. Our main event is to have a look at the dried product of the Calico that I painted onto and drew onto and Mark made onto in an earlier episode video with my Inktense blocks. And what I've also started to do is to pull out some fabrics to make little fabric samplers, and I'm thinking we can assemble those today as we go through and have a look at the blocks, or at least do some of them. So the blocks, or the bits of Calico. So what I did when I was mark making was I took a single colour of the Inktense and basically drew different shapes and different markings on each of the pieces. They also got a bit of flow through because I had all the pieces of Calico. As I finished them, I would sit them on top of each other, so there was a nice little bit of draw through of colour, and also the paper towel underneath was absorbing colour as it went, and I was constantly working on that and working on it quite wet, but you can see that all in the video. So let's take a look at the first one of the first ones, and I'll move my bits of fabric off so you can have a look at the square first, and then we can start arranging the fabric. And so what I'm planning to do is have a square with the colours, and then with my fabrics I've gone through and selected fabrics that I think are in the same sort of colour tonal variety, and I'm planning to, I think, for each of the pages to work on one side with the fabric collaging, although some might extend a little bit across as well. In this case, I'd like to keep a bit of these mountains. I just love how they have actually turned out. So did we want to have a go at maybe collaging this, and then we'll continue through and look at the others, and then if we have time to do some more collaging we will do that. So I might grab myself a little surface to work on. Just get this dust off. I don't know how things get so dusty, so that I'm not gluing onto my mat. So we'll work on this surface, and I'll be using my trusty Yoo-hoo stick, and we're just going to do a little collage. So what I'm planning to do is collage first with fabric, so that's what we'll do today, and then I'm planning to do stitching into it and adding further sort of embellishments, things like Suffolk puffs and rickracs and all sorts of things. And with the fabric collaging, I'll just be looking to, in this case, probably to go a bit more around the borders, because as I say, I quite like the little mountains. In others, I'll cover the whole of the left-hand side page. I'm thinking I'll keep some of the right-hand side clear, because I think a further bit from what Annie has said in her videos, we'll be looking at coordinating, contrasting colours with it. So the Yoo-hoo glue just gives a nice sort of temporary hold to the fabric until you stitch into it. It will hold it a little bit anyway, even if you didn't stitch, but the stitching definitely adds a bit of strength. And so I like to have sort of longer elements running in different directions. So this one I'll extend across the page. And what I'm then planning to do, and I probably should have said this up front, is to have each of the pages then stitched onto the page that goes with it so that it opens, so that we've got a double spread of each of the pages as you flip through. And I'll probably order them in a sort of a graduating colour, but I haven't yet decided that. So it was great going through. I really enjoyed like sampling the different fabrics and working out which page they actually related to. Sometimes it was tricky to find some that actually would go on a particular page. Some of the colours were harder to find in the fabrics, which was interesting. Should have brought my little finger rag in here, but that's okay, we'll make do. So I love all the little fringy edges, so that's something I actually really like in my projects. I've actually got a glass of water here, I think. Oh no, that's not actual water. I can probably make my own little finger rag. I'm wondering if this colour one actually, I think that probably goes with something else, so I'm just going to put that to the side. Doesn't quite in this light look like this particular colour story, so and I've got plenty to go on this one, so it's not like I'm going to be running short or anything. Might put this nice fringy bit along the bottom, and I don't mind even having a little bit of fringing coming down. This one's a really interesting sort of double stitched fabric. It's sort of almost padded like, but it's a cotton, I think. Got it from the Reverse Art Truck. And you can of course cut any of these smaller if you have a lesser space, but I just thought I'll stick with what I've got. Start easy, not overthink it. This is all just about play, which is so nice. So often we're doing things and it has a particular sort of goal in mind. The goal of this is exploration and play is what I'm setting my goal as. Learning stuff about colour, but learning it through play. So I'll go around this whole one, around the outside, keep the mountains in the middle showing. They really do remind me of the mountains in Bright in Alpine, Victoria. Little teardrop. So yeah, it was so nice joining in the live with on Annie's channel this morning. It's lovely to be able to contribute to giveaway prizes. Just so awful that scammers were even preying on some of the people in the Facebook group. So do be so careful, folks. If you're in groups, there are scammers that it seems whenever anyone mentions or puts like a giveaway in a title or a public post, people will, or those scammers will seek to take advantage of people. So always sort of go back to source, because people were, the scammer was masquerading as Annie, I think. So always go back to source. If you have a contact for someone, go back and email them directly and say, hey, I just got something from you. It doesn't look quite right to me, and see if indeed it is a scam. Because they're getting very sophisticated, and they just, I guess they try it on with as many people as possible in the hope that they'll get someone. But it's just so sad, because people do lovely things, like Annie does all the time, lovely things, and then to have someone taking advantage of people is just so low, so low. But we're not going to let that spoil the kindness of Annie and of her lovely community, so we won't let the scammers ruin that. So there we go. That is an example of a bit of fabric collage to decorate one of my Inktense coloured pages. So I'll put that over to that side. Oops, no, we've still got, I have such tiny little pieces, I almost lost one of them. There we go. Where will I put that? Where would I like to have a little leaf? Let's put it up on this side. I quite like that being like that. Maybe I will have it, you want it sort of contrasting a bit, so maybe I should put it up here. It gets lost a bit there. Maybe here. There we go. So yeah, really happy with that. And then I'll just let that, the Yoo-hoo glue dry. As you can see, it's just adhering, but if I want to, even when it's dried, if I want to remove something, it's very easy to peel off. So I do like it as a little medium to work with. So that's page 1. So let's now with the other pages, we'll just take a look through them and then we'll come back if we've got time, which we should, to do some more collaging. So these are my greens. Now what I've also got, and I did this earlier in the year, was a Japanese method of, they call it flower pounding, but you can do it with all sorts of leaves. I think this was actually a kale, and so I had some beautiful silk from Silk and Stitch, which has all sorts of bridal wear remnants and offcuts, and I used that as my base and then used a whole lot of leaves and flowers and pounded onto it. And I've gone through my little collection of lace pounded bits and pulled some out, which I will either probably not put on the collage pages, but I might put them as little sort of flips on the pages, I'm thinking. So I'll set that to the side and I'll show you what this page looks like. So this one, I think I did sort of like little squiggly bits and some lines across it, so you can still see. And the great thing is, because the Inktense, once it's activated with water, the colour won't shift. Even if I wet this again, even if I washed it, it would still be absolutely perfect. And I just love how you get a different pattern on the front and on the back. It's just, yeah, just really lovely. And I love working on the washed Calico because it's got that sort of almost like a page, like a paper page. It's got those sort of wrinkly effects. So we can come back and do some collaging if we get to this one later. But I'll just keep going through and showing you the pages. So these are the greens. Well, they're all greens. These are the, I meant to say the bluey greens. And then we've got these, which are more muted into the almost sort of grey greens. So they're lovely, and some splotchy pages. And then we've got some little green dots, nice and soft, but I've really picked out the colours, even though the colours on the fabrics look a bit more intense. That is the underlying colour. You can actually see it. I think this is the side that I just stamped with the end of the Inktense. This one is softer, a really softer sort of paler greeny blue. I'm going to have to get better words for describing all my different greens, I think. This one hasn't transferred much to the back at all, because this one I just did some, there's more of my little fabric prints, and in fact I've got a little Suffolk puffy, no, little hexagon, but almost like a Suffolk puff. And so these were just sort of lines, but they haven't gone too much. This was one of the first ones I did, so it hasn't picked up as much of the other colours. This one, this was one of the ones I struggled finding sort of, yeah, colours for it. In fact, that one is definitely, oh no, I think I was going to use that one turned over to get, it got a little bit of the colours on the other side. That one's almost a bit too blue, but I just figured I'd put it in there within the same sort of tonal family. This one was drawn like a flag. And in fact, this is the back side that I'm planning to use as the side. This was another one that I really struggled to find things in this particular colour scheme. Like that is actually too blue, but I sort of feel that I'm putting together ones that I think are similar in, if you combine them, you might actually get the colour. See, that's probably even brighter than that. That's definitely more on the blue side, but it's within the tonal family. And this one's probably, yeah, a little bit more muted. So that one I definitely have to keep an eye out in my collection for some more ones of that colour. This one I think was one of the first ones I did with beautiful swirls on it. There's another one of my printed flour pounded herbs. I think that was a fennel or a dill or an asparagus frond. And so yeah, come out with the beautiful spirals. And again, just love the fronts and the backs. So yeah, it's sometimes hard to decide which side I want to work with. And I might not end up stitching them all together. I might leave the backs of them. I'm not sure. It will depend how they look when they're done. I'm just going to be very intuitive with this project, not make too much forward planning. I think that was a kale as well, and I think that goes really well with this colour here. It's just amazing to kind of look at something like Inktense from a prepared product and then look at something that nature produces, the leaves. And these I probably did about 4 months ago, maybe 5, maybe even longer than that. I'll have to look back to the video and share the link to the video where I was doing the flour pounding. So I'll pop that down in the description as well. So that would be a fun one, I think, to collage up. I think they're all going to be fun to collage up. I certainly had fun last night just cutting these little bits of fabric. And this one had hearts on it, so I might even have to cut some of these into little heart shapes, or at least one of them maybe. And also don't discount the selvage, the edges on your fabric. Sometimes you'll get a nice bit of writing, so I thought, yeah, it'd be nice to put a bit of script in here. Also really textured things. This almost looks like a kitchen sponge. It's not. It's a fabric that's sort of woven on one side and then got nice little tuffety bits on the other. This was the one that had my hand print on it. I probably should have it turned around the other way. I really got into the vibe with my paints and had my hands in them, and all comes off. I think I still have a little bit of green under my fingernails, but that's okay. This one I just shaved off some tiny little specks of the Inktense, so it's a bit more faint, like a little constellation or something, but I like it. This one I did sort of tree shapes, and I love that it's picked up some other colour. I've got some sort of grasses along here. I'll show you. I just love these, yeah, more vibrant colours. I think they're beautiful. But it's picked up a darker green as well, so I think that would be a nice one to collage. And then I've got some little leaf shapes as well. This one would have been probably, I think, maybe a parsley flower. But yeah, I've been amazed how well they have kept. I did read somewhere that they'll fade quite a bit. I think you do have to remember, if you do put plant matter or rusty coloured fabrics into your projects, it can degrade over time, but this is just play for me, so I'm not too fussed. If it degrades, it's going to be part of the creative experience. And then this one where I did little zigzaggies and little filling shapes. So again, I might want to cut some of my bits of fabric to fill the shapes. So that's the collection of them. So let's do some more collaging, I think. I've got plenty of time left, so let's get as much done of the collaging together. As I say, I just love the colours on this one. I'd like to leave the trees somewhat intact, so not collage right over them, so I might do that similar sort of border approach with these. Might have the fringy edge pointing up, so it's like some grass. And you can have things coming out. I might end up adding tabs to some of these albums as well, or pages. So I'm just so excited by this, this lovely project that Annie has put together for us. It is super. So I'm just going to inset that a bit from the edge. And I feel like I should probably stick something under here first of all. Might put this one running up the top. But that's a good thing about the Yoo-hoo glue. It doesn't form a really strong bond, so you can kind of just tuck things in as you go. As you can see, I can just easily lift that up. Yep, I might just leave that sticking off the page, although it's getting probably only just up there. Just make sure they're sort of sitting somewhat flat as you do them. This one's got a little bit of purple in it, but I'm going to go with it because it's so pretty. I assume Yoo-hoo glue is available everywhere, or you'd have some version of it. It's just what would normally be used for paper crafts and things, but here's another little tiny scrap. Some of the fabrics had multiple colours in them, so I was cutting just the bits that, that actually fit with each page. And I'm over there. This is was from a gelati sort of coloured fabric, almost a woven canvasy type fabric. Maybe I'll put that over here. So it's great to see what everyone else is creating. There's some other greens, there's beautiful yellows, all blues, purples, pinks. I think I've seen all of those so far. This one's beautiful. I do love this one. Wonder if maybe I should put that a bit further down. Maybe I'll put it down here. Feels like a Liberty. I'm not even sure. It might even be from a Liberty print. This one was from a little charm square, mini charm square. They're great to get a whole variety of fabrics if you're starting out. So yeah, this is just the start. We'll also be working with fibres and threads and adding other embellishments, and then as Annie has flagged, working with coordinating colours. So I don't want to sort of fill the page entirely, even though you can sort of keep layering. I want to keep a bit of space for the next stage. Actually, that's meant to be stuck that way. Let me just wipe the glue off the front of it. Good thing about the Yoo-hoo is it just dries clear, so it won't be a problem. Then it's whether I want these ones to be little flips, or that almost looks like a little tree. I think I should probably cut that out and put that in with the trees, I think. So let's cut her out. Of course my fingers are going to want to stick to the fabric, but that's all right. But yeah, if you haven't tried this flower pounding or leaf pounding, it is great fun, and it comes out beautifully. I love the idea. I think in Japan they do it each season, and they'll like pick a lovely silk scarf or something to work on, and then even if it fades, it's just that layering up that happens season after season as they pound the seasonal plants into it. So I will definitely have to get myself a proper piece of lace, and not lace, of silk, and give that a go. I just used sort of off-cutty pieces when I was trialling the technique. Down here, and I feel like maybe I need to put it down here like that. Maybe I'll put it over that one there. Perfect. I'm happy with that. Perfectly imperfect. That's what we aim for here. I feel like I've got a little bit bobble on that, but that's okay, we'll get that off afterwards. And then this one also reminds me of a little tree, so let's turn it into a tree. Hopefully you're crafting away so you don't mind me just sort of, yeah, just sharing my creative adventures. You'll often see that my ideas evolve even as I'm actually working on a project, so very little of what I do is yeah, fully planned out. I like to just start the process of creating, and then I find that process itself kicks me on to do new and different things. And I know it can sometimes be intimidating when you're starting a project. You're thinking, oh, I don't even know what to do to start. My biggest tip is just start it. Just yeah, do something, and then I'm sure it will start to come together for you. And don't be afraid just to give it a go. Now, where do I want to put this? I am pondering and pondering. I think I'm going to come back to here. Don't even mind those little fringy bits coming off the lace at all. Don't mind that one little bit. Okay, so that's that one done. So that's another one of our little squares. Just get our glue to not be in the area that I'm trying to work in. Okay, what one do we want to do next? We do this one. Fabrics off. Oops, glue falling over. Let's put the scissors away so they don't fall off the desk and decapitate my feet. Well, you can't decapitate feet, can you? That's something that happens to the head. So yeah, I think the more you can do these sorts of projects, just very intuitively, just relaxing into it, just letting yourself go. There is no right or wrong. There's no police. There's no stitchy police, thankfully. This one I might put in the middle of the page. Oops. Sometimes the Yoo-hoo glue gets a bit gunky. You get a bit too much off on the one bit. It's trying to fold on itself. And again, don't worry if things are crooked. It all just adds to the interest. Ordered chaos, as one of my commenters called it. Yep, that's what I'm into too. I might put that across the fold, I think. Again, let's put quite a bit of glue on. Maybe down there. I'll do it down here. Go back to first gut instinct. It's amazing how often you'll audition things around the different parts of the page, and then you'll come back to your first little thought for it. I find the process of putting the glue on first just gets me moving, because otherwise if I tried to sort of work out where I wanted it first and then put the glue on, it just sort of makes the process a little bit slower and a bit more overthinking. Whereas I chuck the glue on and then off we go. And then it sort of puts a little clock on, because you've got to land it so the glue stays sticky. Nope, don't love it there. Let's put it here. Put it here. It's that layering effect. So not as many of some colours, but yeah, still a nice little start. Will give me enough to stitch in, and then who knows, I might have more fibres and threads for some of them. So this is the one that has the little speckly bits on it. So I've got this larger one that is in that colour scheme. So let's start off with the largest one. Also, when you're doing fabric collage, it's good to start with your biggest ones first. That way you start to cover some of your space, and also then your little ones can sit across the top of it. Just shake those off. Probably should have done that first before I got my fingers all gluey, but such is life. Maybe we'll work on this side with this one. One there. I think this one's meant to be up this way, but again, that's how you can get two different colours from the one bit of fabric. So that's a lighter green, and then we get our nice darker green. So yeah, it's a great tip to turn your fabrics over. Sometimes when you're doing a more muted design, you'll actually want the backing of your fabric. This bit has a range of colours in it, but it does have a darker green in the weave, so that's why I selected that one. Let's put that across the middle of the page. There we go. So that's that one. Not too, oh, and I think this bit fell out of it. Yes, did it? Yes, this one did. Oh, and another bit's fallen down there. No, we still have more. Good-o. I was thinking it was looking a little bit sparse, but I wasn't gonna sweat it. There we go. This one, I do love this one. This is one from one of my reverse art truck little fabric samples. So the little fabric samples were a great resource for this. I just had bags labelled by colour with just tiny little scraps, and even then I was only taking a scrap from within the scrap. That's that one. Keep going, we're getting lots done. Only at the half-hour mark. Here's my hand print one. So I might start by putting my writing on first. Which way do I want that to go? Maybe this way. That's okay if it hangs a bit off the bottom. I am not fussed by that at all. It's quite nice with these fabric books or even paper books having little bits sticking out, little tabs, etc. Screen, yes, I think I am. Like a stamp up the top there. Maybe I will make it a proper little stamp and put a little picture in it. Sometimes it's easier doing the glue that way. Move it over a tiny bit to the corner. Get a bit of this fluffy one. Oops, I don't want to block where my finger is. It's quite good having something tactile on a hand page. Got a bit of lace. I haven't even started adding laces, and I thought I could colour up some laces with my Inktense as well. But here's a little bit that I had in one of my scrap jars, so I threw it into the mix. Again, this is one where you've got a paler colour on one side and then the more vibrant on the other. So yeah, never discount your scraps. You never know what you can do, because I think even just something abstract like this, it ends up, and we haven't even started the stitching on it, it just ends up looking really nice. You can even make yourself little cards, etc. for folks just using scraps. So there we go, that's that one. This one we've got a lot on. So I think I'll put aside these because I think I'll use that one as a full page little flippy bit and stitch that in. And I'll shake off the bits. And let's start with our bigger ones. So I've got another lovely little bit of selvage here. It's got numbers on it. It's where they do the different colour printing, so that could be interesting, even just getting a whole lot of selvages and using those in your either fabric or mixed media or paper journals. Again, this reminds me of mountains, so I might do some nice mountain stitching on it. This one's got quite a few colours in it, but it's definitely got that colour there. I think I've included it in some of the other pages as well. Nice little felty. Oh, I've got two different colours. I think I'll use this side of it. It's nice little woven fabric. I've put little threads on my glue, but that's okay. They'll rub off. I don't know if I got enough glue on that. The other good thing about the glue is it stops them sort of doing too much fraying, although generally they'll be pretty good. But otherwise, if I wasn't using the glue, I'd either have to be stitching them on straight away or pinning them, and I absolutely hate being pricked by pins. I do not enjoy it. Because invariably I do prick myself with the pins. I don't know if I used the correct side of the fabric. I think I did. Anyway, it is what it is. This one's got some brighter little greens in it, but the background colour is definitely the correct one. Pop that up in this corner. Got this one here. It's nice to have both patterns and plains. And remember, you can raid clothing as well, or scarves are a great resource for things also. Old hankies, give them a wash and they'll be fine. I love the old vintage ladies' hankies. They're so delicate, and so many of them have beautiful handwork on them. And probably many of them were never actually used as a hanky. But I also have some of my dad's old cotton hankies. Dad's still around, but I think Mum periodically chucks them out. But they make lovely, soft, stitching media. Got some of my Nana's hankies, but I use those because I actually like to have a hanky with me rather than going through tissues all the time. I know some people think they're a bit yucky, but for me, sustainability is pretty important, and every little bit we can do not to be messing the planet up anymore. I reckon that's a good thing. This is from a lovely silk dress that I had, which is now part of my stitchery. I think I used some of it in a stitchery square. I can't remember whose square it was for though. Put that down here. Oops, there's still a few bits to go. I thought I was all done, but no, there's a tiny little leaf here. Excuse my fingers, they're getting very green, getting all the fibres stuck to them. But that's all right. Maybe I'll put that in this little, got another little stamp effect up the top. And where will we put this? Let's put it over here. Or maybe here. So there we go, that is another collage. How are we going for time? 40, so we can definitely keep going. We are powering, so see how much you can get done. And that's with me yabbering away as well and getting things stuck to me and talking away at the start before I actually start. So I reckon an hour of power, and you can, but take your time as well. It's not a competitive sport, as we say. Now I was going to cut something out in a heart shape. I think that will be a corner one, so I'll pop that in as a corner piece. Pop that down here, I think. Beautiful palm leaves. We've got definitely weather that's like that. It's so humid at the moment. It's a bit yuck. Normally it's not that humid in Melbourne, but it is humidity city at the moment. Probably not as humid as some other parts of the world yet, but we're used to the dry, hot summer heat, not the humid. Now, what's happening here? Let's just re-go sticking it. Sometimes the flimsier fabric wants to sort of buckle a bit as you stick it down. It's not going to go right to the corner on a straight edge, but that's all right. I'm just going to leave it like that. I am happy with that. Now, what will I cut a heart out of? Maybe this one. I'll do a freehand heart. You can fold your fabric over to get a neater heart, but I'm going to go freehand. There we go. Let's see if we can either put that inside a heart or, yeah, I think I'll do that over here. There we go. Heart within a heart. Just cut the corner, oops, knocking my glue over. Maybe I'll just cut a piece of that off. Just have to clean my scissors up, don't want to get them all gunky. And then I'll just pop this little off-cut piece over here. I can probably use my outline heart piece as well. Let's put that up over here. Oops. Actually, maybe we'll put that over, hang on. I am having thoughts. Let's push. Beware everyone, Christine is having thoughts. No, it's all okay. Let's put this little gauzy piece up here. Except I don't know if I've actually turned it up the wrong way. That's okay. Let's wipe that off. Let's get even more glue on Christine's fingers so she can make even more of a mess. And then let's just do the other side so we get the correct side on. That's okay, we've got a few more little fibres coming off it that will indeed stick to my fingers. That's all right, let's just get the fingers a little scrubby clean. Get rid of as much as we can. Okay, and now we're going to stick this one on. Let's pop that over the top here. That's what I was thinking. Just need to get that turn it the other way up so it looks like it's growing up that way. I've got this nice longer piece, so I might put that along the top. So yeah, we've got a few other colours coming into each of the pages, sometimes other green, sometimes some whites, some blacks, some blue in this case, but at least it starts to show you how different colours work together and different tones of the colour. Just pop that one. I'll pop that up. No, I don't want to cover that heart. Pop it just here. So that's that one done. Must remember next time to bring in a little, oops, we've brought two with us, bring in a little paper towel. I'll leave that one out because I've got plenty here to play with. And I don't think I do want to cover up all of my swirlies, but they do go through to the other side, which is nice. Push those off the bench. Start with one of the bigger pieces. Again, I could trim them down, but I'm not wanting to get too fiddly. I just want to work with what I've got. I think again, I'll just try to go around the sort of the border. This one feels like a Liberty as well, but it came from the Reverse Art Truck, and I don't think it had the design name on it. It's funny, I have such a visual memory. Can't remember a phone number for my life, but I can remember where I've seen things. Even when I read a book or like look at a recipe, I'll know where in the book it was positioned, where the even with work I can remember, yeah, where I read something in a document. But ask me to remember a budget figure and I'll need to reference another document. It's funny, something about numbers, whereas my dad can remember any phone number he's ever dialed. I suppose that probably makes both of us a bit weird, but hey, I embrace it. I embrace the weirdness. Okay, so this might need to be our last one because we're up to the 50-minute mark and I don't want to go too long. So we'll just finish off this little square. I've got this lovely concertina type fabric. It's very cool. A bit hard to glue, but we'll get there. So I want to kind of keep the textures in that. Got a nice little curve to it. Lots of colour, lots of things in my collection were in this colour scheme, which was interesting. Almost a limey colour, I guess. old shirt, which has this colour as one of the crosses, but obviously the darker colours as well. But when you put it with another bit of lime, you can immediately see the bits that are that colour. Oops, I've got two bits stuck to me. So before I did this, I don't think I'd be able to tell you which particular greens I had most in my fabric collection. Not that I've gone through all the fabrics, mainly the little small samples, offcuts bits. But there's definitely, yeah, a lot of limes in the mix. This one's almost limey yellow, but I think it's still, yeah, no, it's still definitely in the colour family. Wondering about cutting out this little, although that's the bit that's not that limey, so maybe that one doesn't go, but I've got another bit of that fabric that's a bit more lime, so that one might go into the mix. And this one has some darker green as well as a more light, it's almost probably a slight bit more into the khaki sort of colour, which is more similar to that one down there. This one's got that yellow as well as the deeper green on it. Two triangles coming out, another bit of they're sort of the woven canvas-like fabric. And that one I said I was going to leave, so that's that one done. Okay, so we will call that a day on our collaging. So we've still got, I've got a bit of homework to do. I'll do this off camera. Because in the next episode we'll be coming back and working with threads. So pop the glue away for a moment. So I did promise that we would come back and have a look in our threads crate, as well as show you my little paper sample. So yeah, I'll be looking to add a range of different types of threads, and some of them I'm planning to couch down, which is where you stitch over, but I'll show you all that in the next episode, which is these beautiful wools, but also use some of them to actually, yeah, stitch into the fabric and start to stitch around some of the design elements in the fabric, or if there's mountains, sort of follow the shapes of those, the hand, possibly, yeah, stitching around the outside. So we'll come back and do some of that together. So that's the threads. I'll also go through my vintage Suffolk puffs and pick out some of the greens as well. I think they could be fun to add. So that's my basket of deliciousness. There's one of my beautiful, oh, I just love that. That would go so well with the limes. Let's just have a look. Sorry, that one just fell out of the basket and I got all excited. And it's a variegated one from the beautiful CGT threads, cottage garden threads. How lovely is that? So my experiment that I did was to stitch into the paper towel that was underneath my workbench when I was doing my painting and mark making onto the Calico fabric. And so it was so lovely coloured that when I decided to dry it along with all my Calico, and I ended up with multi-layers of the paper towel. So this paper towel I think was a 3 or 4 ply, so I've got 2 that are very intensely coloured up and some others that are slightly less so. And what I did with this most intense coloured up one was I ironed a very thin interfacing on. It's just a cheapy interfacing that just has basically a woven-y sort of fabric. that then has an adhesive, and when you iron it, it irons an adhesive, which has just given my paper towel some strength. And I was able to stitch into following the design that is actually in the paper towel itself, which is a borrow type. It reminds me of borrow stitching, and I've just stitched one little portion of the design that you can see here. But I thought what fun that is, and who knows, that will probably get brought into my little fabric colour inspirations journal scrapbook as well. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back in a future episode to do some further stitching on this. What fun! And thank you so much, Annie, and be sure to go and check Annie Claxton out. Thanks everyone. Bye.